up, everybody? Welcome back to the Top Flight Pod. You know what it is. You know what we're here to do. Back on screen today, beautiful Austin, Texas, and with my boy, my G Neff, the president of the Austin, Texas Real Madrid Peña. Neff, how are you doing tonight, bro? Beautiful night. The weather's not too bad. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Had the opportunity to talk a lot about Real Madrid this weekend, so very happy about that. Like you said, wonderful weather outside, so excited to get onto these topics.
Now, Neff, we got some very interesting things to talk about here tonight on the episode of Top Flight Pod, which we were coming back from a little bit of a break, New Year's Eve coming in, spending time with the fam here and there. We're going to talk about Johan Romagna very briefly. We got to talk about Damian La, Sebastian Pinot. What's going on with Jader Obrian? Is it debunked? What's the situation like there? And of course, we got to go over the Dani Pereira situation, Neff, because a lot of people are still left with many questions on that saga. Unfortunately, it seems like this offseason has been more of subtraction instead of addition for the Austin FC side. But yet, as of yet, there's still time left in the window. There's still time left before the first actual kick at Q2 Stadium, so we can get players in through that door, through the St. David's Performance Center. But before we get into those topics, of course, Neff, we want to maybe tease a little bit of an event that we have coming up this Friday. Now, we reached out to an indoor in South Austin. We're going to have a little bit of a footy out there. Neff, if you want to share a bit of the details that we got.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be at Soccer Zone South this coming Friday from 8 to 2 for all our Discord members, Patreon members. So
From 8 to 2,
looking
mate.
forward to seeing everybody. I'm sorry, 8 to 10. Eight to
This
ten. I wish
guy.
8 to 2. That'll be
That would
will
be
be a great
crazy.
great time. But yeah, no, 8 to 10 um on Friday.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, of course, Discord members, the Patreon members are already 100% invited. But if you're listening to this pod and you want to get, if you want to go out there, you can take one guest, take your cleats out there, take your indoor shoes or whatever. We're going to get the field in the back, right, Neff, if I'm not mistaken, the Valencia Smiles or something like that. And we're
Yeah,
going to have
yeah,
a
that's
lot
the
of fun.
one.
Yeah. So
Yes,
let
yes.
us
Looking
know,
forward.
DM us if you would like to go out there. Maybe we can get a little bit of a head count so we know how many pennies to take. But last time we had a footy session, Nev, we had what, like maybe 20 people out there. We had three, four, five teams. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure this one is going to be even better. Folks were asking us to go to the south. Well, we're going to the south now at this indoor. So hopefully we see some of y'all there. Make sure to hit us up and let us know if you are going to go play anything like that. So check us out there. Now, all right, rolling into the episode, Nev, starting off the Top Flight podcast episode here tonight. I want to touch up on the TIFO meeting that was held at Mr. Tramp's. I did show up. I was in there. It was about an hour and a half. The TIFO group, the TIFO team was out there talking about ideas for 2024, and a lot of ideas were bounced around in that room. I, of course, I didn't stand up, but I gave my idea. I mentioned how it would be pretty cool to have anime tifos. Either some Dragon Ball Z tifos. I know there's a bunch of other animes. Neff, what's another anime? There's Naruto. What's another popular anime
Naruto's a
that
good
folks
one.
like?
Man, there's Hunter x Hunter. That's a great one too. Jujutsu Kaisen. Just a couple
Stuff like
there.
that, right?
I
Yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you get a lot of ideas. Yeah, for sure.
Now, I don't want to share everything that was spoken in this meeting because I'm not sure if it was, confidential. So I don't want to run that risk. I just wanted to say what I put into the meeting. But I can say that a lot of fantastic ideas were discussed, and there was so many. I guess you could say, just mainly say many concepts that were being thrown around from different parts of the room. Now, it was being discussed which TIFO was going to be the very first one, and stuff like that. So they're not locked and loaded yet on the design, the concept for the very first one, but I can assure you that it will definitely have a lot of people impressed as previous ones that the Austin FC supporters have been able to come up with. So shout out to them. Now, if you want to give your ideas, I do believe that those meetings are open. I think they are open. I got the open invitation from IG Elise. You should reach out to members from Los Verdes if you're not already in the Slack, and you'll get the information for the next meeting. Like, let's say you have a really good idea and nobody's heard you yet. If you want to share it, that's the place to go, and you're more than welcome. So You can reach out to any Los Verdes member, like I said, if you're not part of the Slack, and you'll just get going from there. Now, all right. Some Austin FC news, Neff, some quick news here. We got to talk about Romagna just super quick. I know it's a bit of old news now. A lot of fans are tired of this saga, but Romagna to San Lorenzo on loan. The signing is all but done, Neff. He was flirting with Olimpia, but ultimately it seems like San Lorenzo won the race. The player himself confirmed it via radio interview. He says, I'm currently in Colombia. The signature is missing, but thank God everything is on track. I want to arrive and be at the disposal of the coaching staff. I've already talked to Insua, who is the San Lorenzo coach. Now, this is all via TYC Sports. Neff, it looks like the saga is finally coming to an end. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Because it has some fans upset.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was over 2 years ago for me. He hasn't been an Austin FC player for a while, so I mean, this whole thing, if we're gonna come back next season or and whenever the loan ends, because it's a loan, so it'll circle back around. But the guy's been gone for he hasn't been an Austin player in a while, so for me, it's been done. It's said and done.
So for Neff, this is pretty much water under the bridge. That's what you're telling me.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think there's definitely um maybe the Dani Pereira news that are of a bit more consequence to the team than
Mhm.
anything Romanian related.
Interesting, mind you, Neff. Alrighty. Now, well, it did have some Austin FC fans upset because some people believe that Johan Romagna is capable of competing with this team and competing for a spot in this club, either starting or a rotational center back. And we've seen the kind of crisis, I'm sorry, that the team has faced in previous years, especially like 2023. Not talking like Austin FC is some very old club. We're a very young team, but we have already experienced seasons with a center back crisis. And Romagna is a center back, very young center back, but Austin FC fans and F in the community on social media especially will argue. And actually, you can even add in Olympia fans also, mate, because Olympia fans, along with Austin FC fans, are now taken to social media and sharing their thoughts on Romagna. They're saying, yeah, he has good spells, he has good moments, but there has been cases where he's easily beaten on the ball. He's not very good with speed, but we can credit Romagna, us here on the Top Flight Pod, or maybe myself. I'll speak for me, and if you can give your take here in a bit. I think he's a great aerial duel player. I think he's a massive defensive asset in the air, especially on corner kicks. And in attack, he gets up there. I will say that on him. Now, any final thoughts on Johan Romagna, who ultimately will most likely join San Lorenzo on loan for the 2024 season, Neff?
No, I mean, the only thing I can add to that is that Romagna is a system player that has not played in a system that he fits for quite a long time now. So hopefully he gets to, he plays under a coach and system that benefits.
All right, my GNF. Now, hopefully, Romagna finds what he needs in San Lorenzo. I know that they have a fantastic fan base. I don't know much about the team itself, but their fan base on YouTube, they have some crazy videos, some crazy chants, and the atmosphere in that stadium, I'm sure, will be rocking. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the Pope's favorite team of Argentina,
That's
El
correct.
Papa Francisco. So that's a very interesting little stat there. But Romagna, we wish you all the best, sir, and maybe we'll see you soon. I don't know, but doesn't look like he'll be coming back to the Verde and Black. But moving on, Neff, to the next transfer rumor that Austin FC is currently surrounded with right now. Now, I'm going to ask you if this one has any legs. What do you think on this one? But the latest transfer rumor for Austin FC is Damian Loss. Damian Loss. Now, Damian Loss on loan. Early morning on January 3rd, an interesting tweet was sent out by a person named Davide Masi, a teenager, possibly, or maybe in his early 20s, out of Roma, Italy, who casually just dropped a huge transfer rumor on Austin FC/Austin FC 2 goalkeeper Damian Loss. This is what the tweet says. Source: Austin FC wants to loan Damian Loss to the USL. Austin FC signed Cleveland and already had Stuver as the goalkeeper. Loss is not very excited about a loan in the USL Championship as he believes to be ready for the MLS. Now, before you discard Davide, that's where the quote ends now. Before you discard Davide, everybody, we have to mention who he works for, Neff. None other than Di Marcio, a transfer news guru much like Fabrizio Romano, you can say. Now, also, what I found interesting, Neff, was that his original tweet, he doesn't even mention Matt Bersano. So in his original tweet, he kind of gives the context of, hey, there's already a goalkeeper overflow in this club. Damian Loss is probably going to get a loan because of this situation. And he doesn't even mention Matt Bersano. So with all the keepers here, with all the ones that we have, Matt Bersano, Damian Loss now, Stefan Cleveland now, and Brad Stuver, it would make sense, bro, that somebody has to go either on loan or on a sale, right? So I want to ask you, does this rumor have legs? And is the USL a good fit for Damian Loss?
The rumor definitely has legs to it. It really depends more on whose side of the story we're gonna hear from, because I think it's very evident that a talent like Glass does not deserve to be in a bench at this point in his career. He has shown, especially playing in a MLS tier, he is definitely worthy of at least trying to compete for that first spot in a Division 1 team. And I think Austin is doing it all wrong in that sense.
Hmm.
There's there was no reason to get Cleveland having lost there. And I mean, if I'm lost, I would be trying to get out too, and the USL would not be my destination,
Now,
my
Neff,
chosen destination.
you do make some great points here, but there's a tweet here right in front of me on screen from at bound by music. Sorry, that kind of counters your points. And if you may allow me, I'd love to read it for you. Is that cool?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. It says he may not like it, but USL is best option for growth. Being a number two in MLS isn't going to get you the game time. Goalkeeper is a position that matters later than others. Prove it in USL and come back next season and push Stuver for number one. Is that a route that maybe Damian Loss should be thinking about taking? Me now, everybody in the Austin FC community, not everybody, but a big chunk of the fan base would argue that Damian Loss is ready for that jump. He is ready for a first team position, maybe a number one keeper somewhere. But in Austin, is he number one over Brad Stuver?
I think he could potentially earn it a lot faster than a lot of people think. And just to counter that fairly quick, the the winner of MLS this past season was the
Yes.
Columbus Crew, whose
Should.
goalkeeper, that same guy won the MLS Next Pro the year prior. So this guy made a direct transition to the first team and won the MLS Cup. And in my opinion, Laos is a better goalkeeper than he is.
Hmm.
So I don't see how Las couldn't make that transition. Now let's not forget where Las is coming from. Las is not coming from the Austin FC Academy. He's not coming
That's
from another
correct.
MLS team's
That
academy.
is correct.
He is coming from Europe. He's coming from a higher standard of football. That being said, not to discredit the USL, but if Josh Wolf does not utilize a defender in time of need from another MLS side, why would another team want to use a keeper that Austin does not consider first team material
Now, okay, maybe
on a
the
loan?
question F. Now maybe the part about him being number one over Stuver is not even fathomable right now. I'm sorry. I mean, the question right now is if can Damian Loss be number two over Stephen Cleveland, because Stephen Cleveland now comes into the mix, Steph, and he is not just any slouch. He is a pretty good keeper. I know fans were not excited about his signing, especially on what was it, Christmas Eve, that they got Better the Smoke and it was a backup keeper, you can say. They wanted maybe a high profile striker. I get it. But you cannot say that Stephen Cleveland is not a good backup goalkeeper. You cannot say that. He has some great saves in Seattle. He's coming from a great system. Now, is the USL a good option for Damian Loss to develop maybe one more year? Can you say that the USL is a better level than Next Pro? It's not is it necessarily a L for Damian Loss, or can this be made into a W of experience for him? Because you do point out a really good point that he's already coming from a proper academy. He's coming from Fulham, right? You're saying that this was is kind of like a step backwards, but the USL, he could spend a year, he could spend one season there and come to the MLS already ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Or should he waste a year of his career not getting minutes as a backup goalkeeper, or spend it at the USL being somebody's first team keeper there, or at least fighting for that spot? What do you think on that? Maybe I kind of bounced around.
It seems to me that even if he were to go to USL, he's not guaranteed a first team spot. And if he's not guaranteed a first team spot, why not just do it in Austin? Now, I understand Cleveland's already here, and that's where I say that that's the mistake that I think Austin made. But I don't think Austin would have signed Cleveland without getting rid of either Lass or Bersano. My honest prediction and what I think they're gonna do is that they're gonna stick Lass and Austin FC2 yet again.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
if he does leave, they do already have another goalkeeper in FC2. That's gonna take Lass's spot.
Nico,
But now
Nico
you're
or
get
Spencer?
either one of them has good potential to
They
take that
do.
spot,
They
and
do.
it's good for the growth of the goalkeepers in the next pro. But Las is it's pretty much a proven product at that level, so he could have potentially been better than
Look,
even
mate.
Stuber or Cleveland.
Look, mate, to kind of put an end on this topic, because it is just a transfer rumor. I think you're giving a lot of good points for the player. I'm kind of thinking kind of more in the aspect of the club. If we can get Damian Loss on loan at a USL side where he will get experience 100% and still come back to us the year after that, next year, 2025, I think that would be fantastic. Because he will be coming back to us. He will be coming back with experience. Hopefully his morale, isn't low whenever he comes back to the club where he thinks maybe did him wrong by sending him out to the USL. But ultimately, we're just trying to get him experience. Goalkeepers get better with age, right? So I think him going out to the USL, it'll be good for his experience. I know he's a quality keeper. This dude is better than maybe a quarter of the keepers in the league, maybe more than that, 100%. I'm not lying that, but there is maybe a bit of a process that Austin FC wants Damian Loss to follow, and I think that process takes him through the USL first.
The only counterpoint that I will make to that, and I'll make it quick, is that Las in itself, when he comes back from this rumored loan, it's only going to have a year left in his contract, even if they pick up the option for a further
Okay.
year. That being said, if I am Las and this team's obviously still has Stuber, why am I signing for this team again?
Hmm. I have it
And
here.
that's all there is to it.
I have it here pinned on my wall, Nev. Options exercise for 2024. Damian Loss is in there. I wonder if there's an option for 25 also, or if it's just 24. I need to check on that. Maybe if you can pull up that information
There
here in
is
a
for
bit.
next year as well.
Okay. All right. Well, moving forward to the Dani Pereira situation, because this is another interesting topic to touch up on. The price raised from Dani Pereira to 4 million in GAM to, I'm sorry, price raised for Dani Pereira to 4 million in GAM from 1 million in GAM. Now, our very own Alex Sanabria, aka Football Critic, broke massive news last week. Here is the thread from Football Critic's Twitter account. Make sure to give him a follow. This dude works extremely hard to get the Dani Pereira exclusives, and lately he's been rolling out with them pretty consistently. Now, Danny to stay is what Football Critic says. Per sources, Austin FC's price tag on Daniel Pereira was set at 1 million in GAM. Despite multiple MLS teams being interested, only 3 came forward willing to pay that price for the young Venezuelan international. He also goes on to say, one of them was LAFC, the other 2 remain unknown. However, after receiving the 3 offers, Austin FC reportedly increased the price to, what sources tell me, would be around or close to 4 million in GAM. This truly incredibly high price froze the negotiations with all 3 suitors. Excuse me. However, one of the unknown teams, despite not being willing to pay such amount, remains in the lookout for any possibility to sign Pereira before this winter window closes. The last part of this thread on Twitter goes like this: as of now, and getting closer to the beginning of the preseason, it looks like Dani Pereira will continue with Austin FC for the 2024 season. Keep in mind, it is still possible a departure to a foreign club in the near future, particularly after Copa America. It's still possible for a departure to a foreign club after Copa America, says Football Critic. Now, Neff, of course, this kind of explains why LAFC walked away from negotiations, as it was reported by journalist Thiago Brandao a couple weeks ago. We all saw that report. LAFC said, you know what, we're out of here. We're done. We don't want anything to do with this negotiation. They dropped tools and just left the job site, as B would say. I also want to ask you this. Will Dani stay another season in Austin, in your opinion? Football Critic says that he thinks so. Or do you think he's going to leave after Copa America?
I think it's in personally, I think it's in Danny's best interest to stay at this point. Get a good preseason in and get as much game time as you possibly can, and earn as much game time prior to Copa America. Make a great Copa America and get out. That's personally what I would hope for Danny.
So you're saying Dani to get out is what you're saying tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I think unless a miracle happens, the club itself does not have the structure to make a player like Danny grow.
Interesting, Neff. Now, maybe a bit of a summary for the fans listening if you didn't capture fully what the Twitter thread from Football Critics account was saying. We're Austin TV dropped a little bit of a summary, just a little bit recap. I'll go through it, Neff. It says, despite interest from multiple MLS teams and 3 serious offers on the table, negotiations for Dani Pereira stalled as Austin FC reportedly raised its original asking price from $1 million in GAM to around $4 million in GAM for Pereira. That's pretty much what it is if you want like the cliff notes for it. Now, it did have Twitter talking. Fans flooded social media as soon as this was released, as soon as this was dropped by Football Critic. LAFCX Twitter account covering LAFC says 4 million in GAM. That's like double the record. What are they thinking? Absurd. Fucho from Austin, he says, how is that even possible? TAM for 2023 season was 1.9 million. Experts, please explain. Pereira agents are going crazy. Folks are saying not worth that. Is anyone worth it? Adam Powell says, this sounds right to me. We should only part with Dani P for a treasure trove in return. Treasure chest, maybe. If teams aren't up for it, let's keep him for another year of development before he moves on to the next level. And then Pereira fan account says, isn't the record GAM spent in a trade only 1.2 mil? So there was definitely a mixed reaction, Neff. You were saying that Austin FC fans are seeing this as a good thing, and then we were also saying that fans were seeing this as a bad thing. So what is your take on the reaction from fans on social media to this news being dropped about Dani Pereira? Pretty much Austin FC saying, hey, he's for sale for 1 million. Now, you know what? Actually, we want 4 million.
Um, well, I'll say this. Hernan, as you know, and people might not know, but I am happily the bridge between you and Il Capitano, who's a good friend of mine, and I
That's correct.
introduced you to him
That's correct.
some time ago. Him and I have had some interesting conversations in the past weeks, and I will say that I would not be happy with how this FO is handling this. Um, it's definitely a negotiation tactic to raise the price that way because they know they're not going to get 4, but maybe a team will come back with 1.5 or 2 million in GAM, that so something like that. So it's a negotiation tactic. I can't mock them for trying that. However, I think, and that's just, and now it's just me being biased towards wanting a better future for Danny, but I think at this point it would have been better for Austin to let Danny go because I don't want to see Danny waste another year.
Hmm. Interesting
But
logic, Neff.
personally, I think personally, like I said, I think it's a lot of us we have to see further than what we're just that's being thrown at us because there's a lot of hints out there for how things are being handled.
Hmm. Okay, now I can confirm what Neff is saying about the bridge to Il Capitano Verde. If you know, you know. That's confirmed 100%. But I do want to read some other reactions from social media, Neff, if I may. Tony D. Tiger, a lot of us know Tony with his takes on Twitter. He says, "Dang, I don't like it. Essentially, we are keeping him hostage. If no club paid 1 million for him with an MLS, then definitely 4 million is out of the question. Plus, there's a situation if he will get paid more for staying. I hate our club for how we treat our players." Oof. And then Scott Spetch, my G Scott, he says 4 million in GAM is an absolutely insane ask for anyone in MLS. Now, if we don't want to spend too much time on this, we have more things to talk about here tonight. I want to ask you the green card situation, which was also dropped by Football Critic, another one of his massive uh, news bombs on Pereira and Venezuelan players in general. Do you think that the green card situation or the special talent visa situation, actually, what it's actually called, do you think that that had an effect on the negotiations? Because price ain't what it was yesterday. If Dani Pereira can now go anywhere in the world with Venezuela, because before he was limited to USA, now the kid can go anywhere. Do you think this had an effect on how things transpired?
No, I mean, from my experience with things like that, it's those things, or it's a process that it, like, the agents, the club, and everybody kind of has to take that into consideration. So the only thing that's really being affected by that was his travel to the national team, which, but just real quick, Danny, congratulations on that. I think we're all very happy for him. So in terms of his transfer, at least within MLS, it has no impact, and really abroad, it doesn't really impact it either, because if, let's say, hypothetically, he goes to Europe, he still needs, he would still be using an international slot in that league wherever he goes.
Hmm,
Um, Unless it's, I think he
correct.
might have ties with family for Spain, so maybe he's able to do that. But anything other than that, he would still be occupying an international spot for one of those, for whatever team he goes to.
All
So
right. Very true, very true. Good points on that. Now, just one more thing that was shared on Discord. One thing that was very talked about today. These moves, with Danny, saying that we want this much, but then reportedly we want this much for Danny. Price went up. Is that tactic going to make Austin look bad in the future with other negotiations with other teams? Or is this something that's commonly used? Because there was a lot of
that's the game.
conversation. There's a lot of conversation around that saying, "Oh, this is going to make Austin look bad in the near future. Like clubs are not going to want to do business with us."
That's the game. When you have a chip that's worth a lot, you bet on that chip,
I
and
understand that.
you, if you
I
keep them,
completely understand that.
you
I
keep
completely
them, you
understand
win.
that. But raising the price 4 times of the original asking price. What are
Like
we doing here?
like I said, like I said, a team is never going to give you the four, but they might come back and tell you they'll give you 1.5, and
Yeah,
they'll
you
come
did
back
say
and
that.
tell you maybe we'll give you two.
You did say that.
So the tactic, at least from what I've seen and with other transfers all over the world, is asking for a ridiculous amount. You start high so that you really go down to where you really believe it's going to.
Danny stays for 2024. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I think he stays.
Does he leave mid-season after Copa?
I hope so.
Oof. Okay,
I
you did
hope
say
so.
that earlier. All right. All right. Now, mate, we do got to move on to another topic here tonight on the Top Flight Pod. Now, rolling into Jader Obrian. Jader Obrian. It's not Jader O'Brien. It's Jader Obrian. Now, to Santos Laguna, well, not so fast, y'all. Late last night, Fernando Esquivel sent out an interesting tweet that has everyone in Austin confused, scared, worried, and some even disappointed. According to Fernando Esquivel, Jader Obrian is reportedly being offered to Santos Laguna of Mexico. Here's the tweet. Quote, Jader Obrian, a winger who was offered to Santos Laguna in the last few hours. At the moment, Santos is analyzing and likes the player, who is a free agent and is willing to report ASAP. The deal is without advanced procedures. That's what Fernando Esquivel says. Now, Neff, what was your initial reaction to this information when it was posted? And be honest, mate, because now it was debunked, which we're going to get into here in a bit. But what was your take? Did you think that this rumor had legs? Because as soon as I went to you with it, you told me, hold on, bro. Wait a second. What's your take?
I thought it made sense. This is exactly the type of player that Santos likes to go after.
And you are a Santos
But I
fan.
did,
You are a Santos fan. We have to put that out
yeah,
there.
it's my hometown team. Yes, it's my hometown team.
So you see Jader Obrian maybe being sent to Santos Laguna, another Austin to Santos deal, similar to Cecilio, but very different, very, very, very different, different circumstances. Like I said, what was your take? Did you think that it had legs?
No, I mean, the thing is, this player fits the criteria like 100% to what Santos looks for. So does it have legs? Yes. Does it have? Is it very, very believable at this point? No, because the contract situation is very confusing for both parties. However, speaking with Il Capitano and speaking with people from, I have a couple of people that are very well sourced within the club from Santos, and there has been interest in this player for a while now. However, it came to a decision last year where they were looking at him and they were also looking at Emerson Rodriguez from Inter Miami. At that point, they went for Emerson Rodriguez, being that he was the younger one. It seemed like he had a little bit more promise in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
brought him in. It didn't work out. Now, it might be that there's some maybe contract negotiations, which it's already been debunked that there's not something with Heather O'Brien. Um, so there was that there, but because of that, I don't think Santos would make a push for him right now.
Okay, now I do have to say this. Thanks to Austin-based journalist Phil West, who reached out to his sources. He gave us the next piece of information via X, formerly known as Twitter, as everybody knows. Phil West said this in last, what was it, a couple hours ago. He says, "I can now say that according to sources with knowledge of the situation, Obrian is signed with Austin FC and will report to preseason camp on January the 13th." So, Neff, how is that for clearing up the smoke from Phil West? Because you also told me like, hey, as much as this guy fits Santos needs, the type of player profile that they are after, you said that this account and other fans from Austin FC on social media said that, hey, this guy often sells smoke. There's a lot of accounts on social media nowadays that sell fake rumors, but if you look at this guy's following, it checks out. There's commentators that follow this person. Tom Bogert follows this person. And if you're gonna ask me and say, hey, Tom Bogert, is he a serious transfer person? He is. So account checks out. We could say that. So how is it? How was that from Phil West for clearing up all this smoke? Because that pretty much just chops it down.
In a sense, yes, but I will say this. Santos just made about $15 million from a sale of a player. So
Oof.
if they wanted to splash 2 million to invest on a player, which Haller is not worth that much, they could do that. So if Santos wants to slam 1 million on the table for Austin, Austin would probably say yes at this point.
So what you're saying is let Rodo cook if he's indeed being offered to Santos Laguna by Austin FC, who does in fact hold him under contract. Because so how is this even possible? It's a great transition into one of the next segments on this topic, or the next topic on this segment. How is it possible for Obrian to even be offered to Santos Laguna if what Phil sources say is true? So these are the rules, right, Neff? Per stage one, the re-entry draft, these are the rules. Clubs must exercise the option for or extend a bona fide offer to all players selected in stage one and may not select their own draft eligible players. Players with option years left on their contract will automatically be added to the drafting club's roster. Should a player reject the bona fide offer, the drafting club will hold the right of the first refusal for that player in MLS. So what does this mean? If Obrian had an option, Neff, on his contract, and we selected him via the reentry draft, which we did with the first pick, we all saw it, then he would be an Austin FC player in the eyes of the league per the CBA. The CBA is very crucial here. It's very important. It's the Bible for all of this. So the CBA clearly says that if we pick him up in the draft and he has options on his contract, we now are grandfathered into those options pretty much. But if we tried to or had to offer him a new deal and he declined, then he would still be a free agent, but Austin FC would hold the right to his first refusal in MLS, which explains why he was rumored at one point for a couple hours to be linked with Santos Laguna of Liga MX. So he is under contract with Austin FC. He does appear on the roster on the Austin FC website. Now, Neff makes a good point that Santos has money and they have a lower payroll than Austin FC. So if he's being shopped around,
which is not a thing in Liga MX.
You're right. But if he is indeed being shopped around, I mean, if Santos wants to throw us some money, then the tables turn and Rodo just made a sale out of nothing because we traded up. We started with Kip Keller and we kept trading, got the first draft pick in the reentry draft, selected Hader Obrian. Now, if we can flip him for a sale, I mean, I don't know what Austin FC fan would be upset. Of course, we do need bodies to start this season, but money coming in is never a bad thing, especially when it's out of nothing. Any final take on that, Neff?
See, like I said, Al Santos has the money to really do it. Would they do it is a different story. They do. We do need a player in that position, and like I said, he fits the profile to the T. However, that being said, I don't know that Santos wants to do it because the first game is in 5 days. It's in 5 days' time. Bringing a player in this late, regardless of if it's a thing that Santos has done in the past, that it's not something that they want to do now. So
yes, it is. It is very important to have a quick preseason.
From my sources, it is not very likely, but it's most definitely not impossible that it happens at this point.
Okay. All right. Well, in conclusion, to everybody listening out there, shout out to Phil West. His sources pretty much chopped this down. Also, Neff had to reach out to some of his people. Also, Capitano Verde chimed in on this topic. This information was said by Neff here on the episode. Just like you said, Neff, it's not likely. So, but hey, anything can happen in a transfer window market, I guess you could say. But all right, Hader Obrian will report with us in MC on the 13th of January. And that's kind of what we're transitioning into next. So players and coaches report to camp next week, Neff. The time has come for the team to reunite at the glorious St. Davis Performance Center after their time off. There's still days left for the boys to enjoy, but starting next week, the ball starts rolling. Now, January 13th, there will be medical tests. January 14th, there will be physical exams. And January 15th is the first day of training. So 13, 14, 15, right off the bat, we're going to get probably a lot of content on social media, a lot of photos, a lot of hype videos, a lot of crumbs from the media team. And a lot of Austin FC fans love that, of course. So the ball will start rolling next week. Now, the full preseason schedule was announced on Friday, January the 5th. Austin FC announced their full preseason schedule ahead of the 2024 MLS season. Austin FC will play the following teams. They start off with Philadelphia Union. That's Tuesday, January the 23rd, Neff, in St. Petersburg, Florida. Beautiful weather. That one is close to the public. FC Cincinnati, Neff, Friday, January the 26th. Again, St. Petersburg, Florida. Also close to the public. Now, it is important to note, Neff, that we played Philly and Cincy in 2023 also. Now, before I go on to the next friendlies, Neff, what are your thoughts on replaying Philly and replaying Cincy for 24's preseason?
I think it's a bit of the same. They've had very similar opponents every single year since its existence, so I think it wouldn't hurt to change it up a bit. But I mean,
hold on, Neff.
Cincinnati and Philadelphia are very good teams.
Exactly. That's one of the next things that I was going to say. Yeah. You know, if you're gonna pick and choose who you want to play in MLS, Philly and Cincy are two teams that you want to go after and play because they're probably one of the best teams in the league. Okay, all right. I just wanted to get that out there because it sounded like you were disrespecting them just a little bit.
No, if anything, I would say go for something bigger. I mean, if you're gonna go that route for good teams, go try to get play against some teams that are of maybe a little bit higher caliber.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, if before we move on to the other friendlies, teams can still be added into the schedule. Games can still be added into the schedule, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if the River Plate game is out of the
Um,
picture just yet.
no, I would say it's honestly kind of closed because the last one is on, and before we get to it, but the last friendly that we have here is on the 17th.
Mhm.
The the home opener is on the 25th. I don't see it viable for Austin FC to fit another game into the schedule unless something happens with one of those two friendlies.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, maybe we can take the River Plate game off the table, but it is what it is. Now, moving forward to what is this, February. Now, in February, we will see Louisville City FC, another familiar preseason opponent. That will be Saturday, February the 3rd in Austin, Texas, y'all. Unfortunately, the press release said that it is close to the public, but that means nothing to Austin FC fans. They will be visiting their lovely, their incredible Verde Hill. We've all been there. I myself have been there, Neff. I know you've been there before, if I'm not mistaken. There is a really good vantage point from certain areas of the St. David's Performance Center surrounding parking lot areas where you can see the Austin FC players. I've seen people take binoculars in previous years. I'm not saying to take them because maybe the club won't like that, but if you have binoculars, they will definitely help you if you really, really want to analyze what the players are looking like. That's how we were able to see Amro Tarek in previous years. The boys from the North End pod, they had some heavy duty binoculars out there. They were the ones that kind of started that binoculars trend.
Felipe too.
Uh, yeah. Also him exactly. But that'll be again on Saturday, February the 3rd against Louisville City FC. Has to be a preseason dub there in Austin, Texas. Now, moving forward, this will be the Coachella Invitational games. Everybody knows about these. There was a previous press release before the schedule drop. Chicago Fire, LA Galaxy, and New York Red Bulls. Those are our Coachella Invitational opponents. Those are all open to the public, but the tickets are a little expensive. They're a little pricey. For the all events, they do sell single day tickets. Those are a little bit more affordable, but the fly and the stay in Indio, California will definitely end up costing you that pretty penny. So if you go, make sure to spend wisely and maybe go in a group. That'll definitely make things cheaper. But like I said, Chicago Fire, the LA Galaxy, and New York Red Bulls, Coachella Valley invitational opponents. Now we move forward, Neff, to Saturday, February the 17th. It'll be against New York City FC in Austin, Texas, close to the public. Now, this one had fans a little bit confused. Will it be at the St. Davis Performance Center or will it be at Q2 Stadium as it was last year? It was closed door. But I want to send a shout out to Sama on Discord. He dropped this stat. He said, we only played New York City FC at Q2 on a closed door because they were testing their new Apple TV technologies and stuff like that. So could this game also be at Verde Hill? Your thoughts on the match, Neff, if it'll be at Verde Hill, and really your thoughts on the schedule for our preseason overall.
I think aside from the USL team, it looks fairly good for the level that we'll be playing. I don't know that I think we played Chicago Fire this year, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, Chicago
But
Fire,
looks like we'll
February
be playing
7th
it.
in Coachella.
Oh, I meant like in the regular season. I'm not
Oh,
sure if we
okay.
do, but either way, it's it's fairly balanced. I think that those teams are some they're teams that Austin can learn from,
Hmm.
quite frankly. So I think it'll be a good test before the season starts.
Definitely, bro.
So
Now,
hopefully that game is at Q2 though.
mm, maybe we'll see. We'll see. Maybe to just test technology and test equipment and see. It'll be a nice dress rehearsal before the first game against Minnesota there at home. Now, by my calculations, maybe I'm a bit of a nerd for doing this. I don't know if it matters to anybody, but we're going to be traveling around 4,500 miles for this year's preseason and going to Florida, then to Austin, then to California and back. Around 4,500 miles. I don't know if that'll have any kind of effect on the boys, but it is part of the game. The United States being so big, European minds can't capture this concept of travel from Seattle to Miami. It'll absolutely destroy the European mind. All right, now one last bit of news or a bit of information to go along with these preseason fixtures is Pinot could be joining the first team for preseason. Now, per Alonso El Inca, Sebastian Pinot will be joining the Austin FC first team for preseason. I want your thoughts on this. Now, last year we saw Rodriguez, Valentin Noel, Mazzaferro, and Walty feature in preseason after being selected in the Super Draft. This will be a little bit unique because he's coming up from Fcito. He's not a Super Draft pick kind of guy, right? We got him from South America and we sent him to the MLS Next Pro. Now he kind of worked his way up. He definitely was a influential figure in that Fcito side to go and win the cup. So I want to mention some stats before we get your take. Pino stats for Fcito: 29 games, 7 goals, 1 assist in over 1,600 minutes. What are your thoughts on him possibly joining Austin FC for the preseason? And do you think maybe he can get a couple games this season?
I think he should, because if the roster were to be done with today, we only have Sardes, and so he knows definitely that he's definitely the type of player that Josh Wolf likes for that position. But not only that, if you look at it, he is probably one of two, I think, that Austin FC actually invested money into. They didn't loan him, they bought him. So I don't see them, especially because he had a decent return. I don't see I don't see Austin not using him, because he's got some numbers. He looks like he's a good forward, and we don't really have too many. We don't lack those. So
That is true, mate. That is true. We only have Zardes right now at that position, so it's a little bit of a concern. I know some other accounts that cover MLS on social media are also taking note at the fact that we have a very little number of forwards. But Pino could be an interesting solution. Now, this goes with Profe's narrative of Rodo skimping on the roster rebuild. Saying that we're being very cheap. Of course, Pino is a very cheap solution. It makes sense, a kid coming up. He's not really a kid anymore. He's kind of shaping into a man. He's going into maybe the best years of his soccer career. He's going into that, I guess you could say. He still has a lot to learn, still has a lot to give. Preseason for Austin FC, in my opinion, is going to be fantastic for him, Neff. I'm a big fan of his. Ever since the Fcito first couple of games that were being held at the pitch at Palmer Stadium or Palmer Field, he was one of the guys that, it was like, hey, this guy's he's definitely a bright spot in this team. There was a lot of goals where he was part of the buildup. This guy I would put in the same category as CJ Fadri, Valentin Noel, Mazzaferro, Damian Loss, David Rodriguez, even though he is gone. I don't know if I mentioned him already. And guys that I'm excited for their future. So Pinot, you make a good point. We did invest to bring him here to the team, and I think preseason he's going to surprise folks. I think he's going to do well, and I'm excited. I really am. I really am, and hopefully he is able to win some minutes, win some fans also in preseason to build off of and win some more in the regular season with the first team. Sorry for my little bit of rant there. Now, bro, Neff, is there anything we could touch up on Austin FC before we move on to a bit of European football talk?
no, just one last bit of if we're gonna invest in the striker, he's turning 21 this year. If you want him to pop off and give him an opportunity for him to really give the club its money's worth, you probably want him to do it now. And he wants to do it now. If he wants a shot at maybe one day going to Europe.
100%, dude. I would love to have Pinot on the podcast in the near future. We are one of the few platforms that has the ability to go Spanish also, Neff. We haven't really put out a lot of Spanish content, but it's something that we've been talking about to doing in 2024. Now, I'd love for me, football critic, yourself also, to host guys like Pino, host guys like Valencia, host guys like Rigoni. I think that'd be fantastic. We're going to mention that to the club, and let's see if they go for it. We'll see what happens there. But everybody, thank you for joining us for the Austin FC side of things. We're going to move on into the European segment of the Top Flight Pod, which we haven't really got into, but we're going to definitely touch up on more European things as we move forward into 2024. We're going to have more content rolling out, maybe even some separate episodes. I don't know. We've been talking about a lot of things for 2024 for Top Flight, but we're not going to spoil it yet. Big things coming. But all right, Neff. Of course, we're going to start off with Spain, the Copa del Rey, and el Real Madrid contra Arandina. Real Madrid secured their place in the last 16 of the Copa del Rey with a comfortable 3-1 win over Arandina. Carlo Ancelotti gave some rest to key players like Jude Bellingham, Antonio Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., and Toni Cruz, while handing starts to youngsters like Vinicius Tobias, Nico Paz, Alvaro Carrillo, and Arda Guler, who probably the entire Madridismo world has been waiting to see play. Arda Guler. I know all of Discord, Lucas, Ociel, they've been very keen on seeing this guy play. Myself, Danny Benz, but injuries have been getting Arda. But oh my God, were we given a treat watching this kid play? Goals from surprisingly Joselu in the 54th minute via penalty. Then 1 minute later, Brahim Diaz made it 2-0, and Rodrigo made it 3-0 for Madrid. And a consolation goal by an own goal from Nacho ended the game 3-1. Fans are shocked on the great performance by youngster Arda Guler, who hadn't played a single minute for Madrid since the start of the season. Question, Neff, we're going to get into it. Should Ancelotti, what should Ancelotti do with the talented Arda Guler? Should Arda be a starter for the club?
It's very premature to say that he should be a starter in a team that has Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Jude Bellingham, Fede Valverde, and Chomini, Camavinga. It's a super stacked midfield. I don't think that he's up there yet. He has a lot of talent. I'm already putting him above Ceballos because personally I don't rate Ceballos that much. But that being said, Atlas has a lot of not only potential, he just looks good. He has a lot of aura to him.
Pause. Is this just topic and stat uh, contributor Eric maybe get a bit of ahead of himself with this note for the podcast today? It should say, should Arda Guler be a first team player, not a starter? Because yes, he is talented enough. I agree with you 100%. Starter, I think Eric maybe jumped a little bit overboard. I don't blame him. I mean, he's very excited with players like Garnacho. But in Madrid, there's depth. And in Madrid, there's greatness. And you got to fight for it. Arda Guler, I believe he's going to be a fighter. I'm so excited for this kid. But like you said, Madrid did win very convincingly, not like Barcelona, who struggled to win 3-2. I'd love to hear from a Barcelona fan's point of view what's going on with their club. We need to invite Barcelona fans onto this podcast, mate. If anybody knows a Barca fan that would love to come on here, we need to set that up. Maybe go back and forth on what their situation is right now, because I'm sure they'd love to spin it around. But that's another conversation. Nev, is there anything else you'd like to add on the Real Madrid game before we move on to some other topics?
No, just very excited about Arda. I think Camavinga did amazing. Uh, really kind of impressed with Tobias, with Vinicius Tobias, the right back. I think not a lot of people are talking about him, and he deserves some praise because if one there's a position that we're short on, it's definitely the right side. We only have Carvajal. Lucas is out for a while now too, so I mean, there's that, and hopefully we can get a decent striker in the summer because I know nothing's coming in, or a center back too. We need that badly.
We need a decent striker. I say we. I need to be unbiased. Real Madrid needs a very decent striker. I agree 100% because Joselu. I'm sorry, but Joselu, as much as he tries, he's just not good
We
enough for Real Madrid. He missed an insanely clear chance, but I will give him this. The ball did seem to bounce up at the last second before he kicked it, which made it skyrocket over the goal. But it is what it is. Now, we were watching the highlights earlier today, Neff, the Barcelona game. They won their match 3-2. At one point, it was what 3-1. Then it was 3-2. Barca looked like they comfortably won the game. even though late in the match, the other team, I forget their name, I'm sorry, they did manage to make it seem like it was a bit close, but not really the case. Atletico de Madrid also, they won their match of the Copa del Rey. They also see the same fate as Real Madrid. Copa del Rey getting exciting. I love this cup. Hopefully, in the MLS, the U.S. Open Cup could deliver the same bit of emotion. Unfortunately, my team in the U.S. Open Cup has not done well historically, so maybe that magic has not hit me yet. But all right, it is what it is. Now, never moving forward to some FA Cup action. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Liverpool overcame Arsenal 2-0 at the Emirates Stadium to progress to the FA Cup fourth round with goals in the final 10 minutes, despite suffering for large periods of time. Arsenal with 18 shots, uh, Arsenal with 18 shots with 5 on target compared to Liverpool's 12 shots and 3 on target weren't enough to put the ball into the net. Arsenal had 55 possession, while Liverpool had only 45. I know maybe a lot of people don't care about the FA Cup, especially nowadays, but what are your thoughts on this game, Neff? The FA Cup versus Liverpool versus Arsenal.
I think it's a shame for Arsenal fans that have to deal with being out of the FA Cup that's supposed to be their cup. I think sucks for them, especially losing to Liverpool. But they're all out fairly early, so it's a bummer. It's a bummer, but it was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game. Kiwior scored an own goal in the 80th minute in favor of Liverpool, and Luis Diaz sealed the deal in the 95th minute for Liverpool to advance and officially end Arsenal season domestic cup runs. Eric has this question. If he says, "Is this Arsenal's team slowly dropping back to their old bad form, or will there be a turnaround?"
This is Arsenal, just like Arsenal and Spurs they're rivals for a reason, brother. They're the same type of team. They're bottlers. That's what they are. That's what they do.
Look,
I mean,
look, mate. I want to say that there will be a turnaround, but there needs to be. I don't know if people like to whenever this is said, but I think there needs to be more investment in this team. I think Arteta still needs to get what he needs.
there needs to be seriousness in it because I don't think the culture of the club. Arteta brings a lot of good to it, and it has brought the club to a different level than what it was. But by saying that, I mean more towards like where it was with Wenger, where it was like fourth place every year. So now if they're going back to that, that's one step. Now you want to go from fourth to the top, right? And
Of
there's a
course,
big difference between what they're doing and whatever city's doing
for sure,
and other clubs. So they need
for
a
sure.
change in culture and just upgrade and just go that way.
I don't know if they need a change in culture, and if I think maybe they need a tweak in culture because I would argue that they already made that change from Arsenal of 6 7 years ago to what Arsenal is today. I think it's a bit of a slump. Hopefully they get out of the slump if they want to compete for the Premier League title. But the longer they take in this trench, the more that the title hope slips away. They have players that haven't been producing. I know everybody talks about Gabriel Jesus now being the player that Arsenal needs right now, but I mean that also falls on the coaching staff. They need to provide the player with the resources for them to get out of this slump. Are you helping your player? Are you putting him in positions not only on the pitch when games come around, but also in the training field? Is how is he working with others? Like where's his mind at right now? How is he outside of training and the pitch? How is his personal life, right? Some coaches like to get into that. I know other coaches don't. But Arsenal definitely has players that need to step up and help them get out of this rut because there's, just like you said, maybe the culture and the leadership, there needs to be a bit of a switch go on and off. Leadership, I think that's maybe a better way to put it. They need a Thiago Silva. And that's actually who we're going to talk about next. Chelsea versus Preston North End. Now, this match was fun. I was giving Tucker a lot of flack for this. He was like, yo, why do you hate Chelsea so much? I'm like, I don't know. I just don't like Chelsea a little bit. But hey, the Blues beat Preston in the Stamford Bridge to progress to the FA Cup fourth round with a goal frenzy by Broja, Silva, Sterling, and Fernandes. Chelsea dominated by having 24 shots and 12 on target compared to Preston's 4 shots and only 2 on target. 70% possession for the Blues to Preston's 30% paints the picture on how this game was. Chelsea's still alive in both domestic cups. Question from Eric Neff. He asks us, does Chelsea have a shot at winning a domestic cup this season? Now, both you and I are not Chelsea fans, so this is going to be a very unbiased take. I know Tucker and Nino B, they would give a very different response. But do you think that this Chelsea side has what it takes to win a domestic cup this year?
I think if they really put all their marbles into one of the cups, the Carabao Cup, or I don't know if is it the same, the Carabao and the FA? No, they're different, right?
No, they're different. They're different.
Okay, so if they put their marbles into one of them, I'm pretty sure they can. Obviously, the Premier League, their target is maybe getting back to Europe, because I know that they've been very poor in that sense. But if I think the FA Cup would be something good for them to give it a shot at. You know, they don't have a bad squad, and it seems and they don't. I mean, he's not my favorite coach, but they have a fairly decent coach as well. So
Now,
they have something in their arsenal.
don't shame the FA Cup because that's a very prestigious cup to win in England. It's like a Copa del Rey in Spain. Now, the
Yeah, no.
Carabao Cup, Neff, that will take place on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Chelsea play Middlesbrough. I'm sorry, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, January 9th. So in 2 days, Chelsea play Middlesbrough at 2 p.m. That'll be for the Carabao Cup. So very interesting. See what happens there. They play them Tuesday, January the 9th. And yeah, Tuesday, January semifinal leg 1 of 2. The second leg will be January 23rd, again at 2 p.m. And now Liverpool plays Fulham Wednesday, January 10th, and they play again January the 24th at 2 p.m. Also, this is the semifinal of the Carabao Cup, which is the EFL Cup, as some other people might call it. But my G, Neff, was there any other stuff in Europe that you'd like to touch up on before we end tonight's podcast?
No, just honestly, I'm very excited about Wednesday. Wednesday, we Real Madrid we face Atletico Madrid in the Supercopa de España in the semifinal, so we get a chance at at a trophy early on. So you know, they're excited about that and hoping for a win. As always, the Peña will be a hop squad for anybody that's interested in watching the games with us. More than welcome. We do have a busy summer planned ahead of us for a possible Peña tour. So anyone that's
Mm,
interested, more than welcome to join us.
awesome, awesome, IGNF. Hard at work. Real Madrid fans out there, if you want to join a supporters club, now I don't know if it would be a club, it's maybe more of a brotherhood. There's sisters in there too. But every Real Madrid match at Hop Squad, you'll always see the likes of Neff and other passionate Real Madrid fans. Shout out to Hop Squad for being amazing. You call them hosts, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Shout out to them.
They're more than a host. They've been a family to us. They even made a beer in our honor. So very thankful.
Nice, nice. I love that. I love that. Hop Squad, definitely a name that a lot of Austin FC fans know of. And also, We're Austin TV is working on some future events that will be held at Hop Squad. We're not ready to release any details yet because they're still being worked on. It's very early in the process, but we have a lot of fun stuff coming out in 2024, something to interact with the community that supports us. So shout out to all the Patreon members. Shout out to everybody that's on Discord. Shout out to everybody that subscribes to our content. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Threads. Check us out on YouTube. Follow the podcast Top Flight on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, whatever platforms. I'm your host, Hernan, of course, my GNF. Another episode of Top Flight Pod. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's episode. We'll be back with more Austin FC news and hopefully some new players, some new signings. We'll see what happens there. In the meantime, all you can do is let Rodo cook. We'll see you soon, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night. Have a good morning. We'll be back.